want to give you a short feedback on the unpanels that we had yesterday. So could I have our three-star unpanel moderators? So if you, do you want to just come up? No, you don't need to be mic'd. I'll pass this down. Unless you were one of I think there are 5 or 6 people here who were at the very first GCV Symposium at Arsenal's football ground in 2011. Unless you were one of those people, every symposium you might have been to since then had one thing on the agenda, and that was the unpanels, the breakout sessions. We get fantastic feedback always from those sessions where everybody gets around a table and discusses things of mutual interest. And nothing, I think, highlighted that more than the feedback from Sung Kwon from LG Ventures, who was on the investing in crypto and metasphere unpanel yesterday, and said, I'd never believed at an event like this I could have such a high quality and relevant discussion. And I also had the pleasure of working with Sung Kwon at the Institute on Monday and Tuesday. So there isn't time to get feedback from everybody, so we just chose 3 of the panels. You can see the titles then, and I'm just going to ask each of the moderators of those panels to give feedback in no more than 60 seconds each. After 60 seconds, you get thrown off. So start off with Neil. Neil's a partner at Brown Rudnick, long-term supporter of GCV, and in fact, one of those 5 or 6 people that were at that very first event, I think, Neil. Okay, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Just the feedback from our panel. Ours was on deal execution and best practice in deal terms. Item number 1 was due diligence. It's not mergers and acquisitions, it's an investment, so you cut down the due diligence. Even if you are following, you should do some due diligence, especially in some compliance areas, as your corporate will need to know about sanctions, modern slavery, and other than that, focus on IP. So that's due diligence. Best practice in deal terms, it's quite clear around the table that those funds that had been going for more than 10 years were really following best practice, and those that were new were making neophyte mistakes, rookie mistakes. Now, part of the solution for that is the GCV Institute, which Paul runs and I teach on as well. And co-investment. So you heard from Dominic yesterday, you co-invest with your rivals even, but co-invest. And the massive trend for co-investment with VCs, that wasn't the case necessarily 20 years ago. It's absolutely the case on all of the leading deals, most of the leading deals nowadays. So co-invest and collaborate with those in the room.
Thanks, Neil. So I'll pass to Emma now. Emma representing the unpanel that was coordinated by Innovate UK, also long-term supporters of GCV, and Emma at KTN, Knowledge Transfer Network, leads on all things related to VC. Emma.
Thank you. So for us, the 3 things were firstly ecosystem. So there's a huge skills and talent shortage in the healthcare, and particularly around leadership and the C-suite. So how can we attract people back into the European Union? It was seen as a EU-wide challenge. And the role of collaborations to share the skills and knowledge that you require to develop technologies in precision medicine. The next challenge was around data and actually issues around access to really good curated data sets. And who owns them now? There's a lot of private ownership of the data, how we're going to address that challenge. Data hubs in the UK were acknowledged as making some progress on managing that challenge. Lastly was economics and the regional variations, particularly between health economics between North America and Europe. And it just doesn't add up for precision medicine. And what can VCs be doing to support investment into the EU? What are the technical milestones, team, and more importantly, traction when you've got that disparity?
Thank you, Emma. Great timing again. And last but absolutely no means least, to Folaki from Silicon Valley Bank. Folaki leads on new and strategic markets, on new and strategic relationships in EMEA for Silicon Valley Bank. Silicon Valley Bank is also a long-term supporter of GCV.
Thank you, everyone. So we, in the FinTech panel, came up with 3 key themes and takeaways. So I think the first thing goes without, stating the obvious, but the pandemic has really exacerbated the need for change within the collective industry. But certainly what we've seen is that in a number of corporates, whether it's hospitality, et cetera, there's a need to kind of improve in terms of whether we buy, build, or partner with fintechs for solutions. So we had an interesting discussion around what needs to happen around a lot of contactless payments in things like airlines, hotels, and things of that nature. The second key takeaway is, as a lot of deal flow relates to large acquisitions or integrations within larger banks, we find that historically a lot of deal flow has ended up, post-deal, let's say things have been shuttered. And so we think there's a need for a lot more sponsorship in-house and a lot more integration with the C-suite so that those deals post-acquisition or post-integration actually stay on and become value additive for the organization. And lastly, of course, there wouldn't be a fintech Unpanel without a little nod to crypto. So a big takeaway there is that, banks were obviously reticent in the past to really adopt this, but I think the client base, whether it's consumers or the SMBs, are really demanding some solutions around payments and financing using crypto technologies. So I think we expect to see a lot more offering from mainstream banks in that realm. Thank you.
The most disciplined Unpanel feedback we've ever had, 5 minutes on the dot. So thanks to these three moderators, plus the other ones that moderated the panels yesterday. Thank you to all of you, and for everybody that participated.
How many people here actually went to the Unpanels? It's great. I mean, that was always my favorite part of GCV. We used to joke in the beginning years it was sort of the therapy sessions when we all used to come together and just complain about how hard our lives were inside our corporate because we were these attached groups that nobody really liked. So I really think those are great sessions, and of course there are more today.